So it could potentially just be a repeat of last game where Bob just is confident in all their team fights and goes for those objectives. But looking at DI's team comp, that is a really scary team comp, and you have to account for a lot of things before you start a full-on fight.
And it is Gladiator Desecrator, so I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
Do you have any input on your announcer of choice, Pluto, before we sign off and let you and Organic take this?
I mean, we need a Pluto announcer back eventually,
Well, we
but
don't have
for now,
now,
I think S1cknote is probably my favorite.
All right, we'll do Sakari for Pluto, and have a good game, gentlemen. We'll be watching.
Later,
Thanks.
dudes.
Later, guys.
Oh, now we're alone. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Pluto?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm full of some in and out. I've got a nice, tall, cold glass of water next to me, and I'm just ready to cast this game. This is game 2 of Destructive Influence versus Band of Baddies here in the semifinals of the S1cknote Invitational, or random sign-up invitational thing 6 Inferno. Both these teams actually came out of their brackets, if I'm not mistaken, completely undefeated. So Bob trying to put a chink in the armor of DI and take them down to advance to the grand finals. They don't want to go and place and play for that third place match. So we'll see who comes out the victor here. Again, the lineups one more time. Bob on the mortal side with Varian, Volek, Dibs, King of Mass, and Desecrator versus DI's Basco, Kendra, Ronan, Renzo, and Sakari. I'm pretty excited about this match. These have been two great teams. Bob obviously has a lot of experience in the tournament scene of Dawngate. They've been playing together for quite a while. The newest member, Arborus, is trying to find his role here, but he's been playing as an excellent tactician. He's actually been playing Flynn through most of the games of this tournament, kind of a more tanky role. Do you think his skill kind of translates decently enough to Dibs being more of a squishy, more kind of utility
He used to play
tactician?
a lot of Dibs when he started playing the game, but Flims has just recently taken over as his favorite. I don't know how he'll do on it because I haven't seen him play it in a while. But most tacticians are just relatively comfortable with Dibs because they've spammed him at one point because he's been so strong ever since the beginning of Dawngate.
It looks like both teams are going to go to opposite lanes. Actually, you have DI going to the top lane with Bob going to the bot lane. So we may not see any shenanigans come out too early, but we'll see what each team does. Some pings are coming out around the Parasite area. Bob pinging the bot lane and DI pinging the Parasite pit. They're going to wait on the other side of this wall. Looks like they're going to evade into the blue buff to McScragg's blue buff, while McScragg, on the other hand, puts a ward onto the enemy armor buff. Looks like DI is going to drop a ward of their own right on the buff, or just wait in the brush, or maybe just move. Actually, they may meet here. This could be a really good flank for DI. They do have a fantastic kind of level 1 team fight with the kinetic sculpture from Renzo already leveled up. Basco already has Z, so he has a stun, and we're going to see a fight here. It looks like Basco does decide to go in and get the stun on the King of Mass, but Arthy's goes shot for it does instantaneously. But McScragg taking some damage on his own. He goes down to sub 100 health. One more attack from Kendra. That is going to be a 1 reset for her Night Strike. Global, it's going to have to tailwind on out of here, but that was actually a really good turnaround from Bob. I mean, DI had a perfect flank there.
Yeah, Arceus diving into a Desecrator is not the best decision because you get hit with that Desi Q, which sets you up for a perfect Dibs Q, which sets you up for a perfect pop from the Varian Q. It's just a bunch of abilities spammed at one moment just completely obliterated him.
Yeah, Arceus got absolutely demolished in that fight. You know, you think of Basco as this tanky kind of bruiser guy, but honestly, level 1, he doesn't have that survival.
Any NMR either. No jungler has magic resist at level 1 because nobody runs it in their loadout. So all the magic damage from Bob just completely blew him up.
Yeah, really nicely played by Bob. They come out ahead of that 2 for 1. They return to their lanes. Globolt's going to be a little bit late to this bottom lane. Basco's going to go ahead and take his power buff with no leash there, so he's going to get a little bit low from it, but that's okay. Volek's going to start at his orange buff, already dinging level 2 and making his way over to the to his blue buff. He's going to walk over one of DI's wards. He's going to go up, take one of those northern mushroom camps. In the meantime, looks like the lanes are as expected. I mean, you have Varian and Dibs versus the Ronin and Sakari. Which matchup do you think this lane kind of favors?
It favors, I think, the Varian Dibs, but the lane is kind of misplaying right now, and they're getting bullied around. Bob does tend to pick lanes that push really well. It's just like their comfort picks all push really well. If you see, you know, Varian Dibs, strong pushing lane. Calm Desi, strong pushing lane. These lanes will be able to push up whenever they want to make it play. So that could be really big for them.
Alright, junglers are going to continue taking their buffs, nothing special there. McScragg finishing off his blue buff right about now. Arceus just now starting his blue buff. But the lanes, looking at the CS, Tulsa at 16 CS to the 14 of Dragon, Kindra 15 to Otzi 17, so lanes extremely even. Nothing special here, but the kills, they did go 2 to Tulsa, actually. He didn't go back yet, so he's already sitting on 1,400 Vim. The most recent kind of flavor of the month you see from a lot of these range carries is the ambition into pain. I gotta ask, you know, as an AD carry player, I like it. It's kind of fun, but what is the efficiency of that build?
I feel like so the ambition is really good because Desire will give you lane sustain and armor and all that good stuff. And ambition is incredibly. If you go Desire, there is no reason to almost rush that ambition right away, unless you get incredibly fed and you have the money for like a dominance. Because that ambition 1000 Vim just gives you so many good stats. Kind of the same thing with the chain. Oh, it looks like Scrag's getting invaded at his pigs right now.
The Scrag down bot is going to go down very, very quickly. No real response. Otzi and 50 were trying to get there, but Arceus, failing that E over the wall and not quite able to get on King of Mass like he wanted to. But Tulsa actually pushed out of lane a little bit. Looks like he's going to take the long way to put this ward down. Arbro's taking a lot of damage from the bolt and all the Qs from Sakari, and it looks like Varian's going to again take the long way back to the binding. So this lane is actually going very, very well for DI, I would say.
Yeah, DI is playing really solid right now, and Bob just has to really be careful not to die, because this team comp will explode if they start getting some kills. Going back on the Pain though, Pain is just like, it's cheaper than all the other items, so it gives you a faster power spike to fight Lucian.
Oh, Otzi's going to get taken down very, very low in this bottom lane. Volek is there for a potential counter gank, but looks like he decides against it. He's going to go ahead and continue on to take his armor buff, or his power buff rather, that's been sitting there just about the whole match. Some pings come out from DI, just showing that there is a ward just south of them in that top lane. Ronin does have his ward up. Wonder where he'll put it. You know, those special Ronin wards. Have you particularly seen any of those kind of special Ronin-only ward spots, or is there anything that you think players should know about those special over walls into brush Ronin wards?
The only ones I like are the power buff one, where you can see the power area and behind the wall at the power buff. And then I like the one behind the para wall that gives you vision, like into the parapet, or in the parapet, and on the little like catwalk on each side of the parasite. So
yeah,
I think those are my favorite locations right now.
We will see where Ronin decides to put down his ward. Finally, Tulsa goes back for his first buy and picks up an entire ambition. You know, one of those things about ambition, like you said, the desire gives you great armor and lane sustain. The ambition gives you even better armor and lane sustain because it is a legendary item, and it's super cost efficient. It is probably, I think, one of the cheapest legendary items there is, so getting it pretty early is really, really worthwhile, and he's going to come back to lane with that, and he's going to be super strong relative to this Ronin, who is 0-1-1 with 47 CS to the slightly lower CS of Tulsa being 45. But Sakari, actually, I really like her use of her icebergs, her walls in this lane. She's just kind of pushing them around. She's putting them exactly where she wants them to be to land her skill shots. And for Ronin to get that, his kind of auto attack cadence of harassing is going to be that auto Q auto, because the Q auto attack reset. What was that?
Arceus is going to sweep around for a gank right now. They're trying to put Tulsa and Arborist into a bad position, but
looks like DI is actually starting up, or Bob's starting up Parasite here. Arceus does get slowed by the Curse of Weakness. The Inside Shadow will reveal him. The Nightmare proc will deal a ton of damage, and it looks like Unbreakable will not save his life. Arceus goes down, and this looks like it's going to be a quick pickup of Parasite for BOB.
Bob's spamming their pings. Like, I don't know, it's a thing they do. But yeah, DI has really no way to respond to this. I'm a little surprised because if you check the levels, Basco was level 5 when Scrag was 3 because he died at those pigs. But Basco just didn't go back. He should have gone straight back to farming, hit 6 before Scrag can even get anywhere near 6, and then gone for a game. But Scrag just power farmed the jungle, got to 6 as fast as possible, and then went to look to make plays.
Yeah, I feel like regardless of how hard you try, you're really not going to shut down Volek in the jungle. He can just kind of go to his contingency plan of just farming, because he is one of the quickest junglers in the game, and he can just catch up to you that way if he's not going to get any successful ganks off. The ultimate damnation from Xtrag up top. Reverie pop by Arbors to give him an additional power, but that was a great turnaround from DI. Tulsa actually underneath the binding on the other side as well, not quite able to help his little furry friend. The Chaos Shell may tick down enough to kill Arceus. No, he doesn't. He uses Unbreakable on the jungle minion to give him that little extra bit of shielding to survive the Chaos Shell. Tulsa almost picking up a great kill over the wall, even though he had some bad positioning there. But Arceus with a great play with the activation of his W on the fish case.
Yeah, that was a little too ambitious from Scrag. Like I said earlier, if he doesn't have that blitz, this team comp is really good at nice dodge of the icebergs from Tulsa. But if he doesn't have that blitz, this comp is really good at preventing him from getting close. So he really can't run into people like that early on.
Yeah, you know, Dibs was trying to give that extra power buff to help him sustain and life drain through his ulti, but it wasn't quite enough. And, you know, Ronan just kind of showed up at the exact right time, and it was a 3-on-2 with Tulsa on the other side of the wall, and just a really good fight by DI. Actually taking the lead in this game, 4 kills to 3, 54 Spirit Well workers even, so no one's done any harassment onto any well just yet. But that's kind of a thing that comes with the pushing and whatnot. And you said Bob likes to pick these team comps with a lot of pushing power. The Varian Dibs, the Calm Desecrator. Is harassing Spirit Wells and taking enemy buffs, is that really, really high on Bob's priority list?
Sorry, can you say again? Can you turn on your mic a bit, actually?
Turn it down?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Some people are me saying that the game's really loud.
Alright. Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the question essentially was, with these heavy pushing comps, you say Bob likes to pick the Varian Dibs or the King of Mass Desecrator.
Right.
Do they value harassing Spirit Wells and taking enemy buffs just more highly over everything? Because I feel like that's kind of what you open yourselves to be able to do with push comps.
A lot of Dongye has shifted towards objective play right now, so a lot of times strong lanes that can push out will usually have the advantage when it comes to invading, because if you try to go protect against the buff invade, you're going to miss 10-15 creeps, and if you don't successfully defend against that, you lose a lot of aim and a lot of experience.
You see 50 going ahead and going to scout out the enemy armor buff and realizes that it is there, so they now have the timer of it. They know what's going on. They know
Arceus did manage
where
to
Basco
sneak
is
around
not.
and steal Scrag's armor buff without him noticing, and he didn't clear the camps either, so Scrag is not going to get those camps back. And those orange small camps, I don't know if anybody knows, but they give a lot of
the gank up top onto Sakari. Actually, she may go down. The Curse of Weakness will finish her off, included with the Damnation. McScrag gets another kill there, and also burns the Ronin ulti. So Ronin ulti, just one of the things that does the execution damage. It's really, really nice in a team fight, but it's not going to save your life more often than not. It's going to let you do a little bit of extra damage, but it's not a super escape or CC ulti like a Kinsu or something.
Yeah.
Throwing out the E. 4-man push up top for Bob. They do leave Otzi down bot. Hitting on this binding. Just Papping on Arthea is going to come try to stop him. It's like DI not going to be able to protect that top binding. It is going to be the first one to fall in this game. Otzi actually 1v1ing Arthea down here, and Dibs is coming in for the shield. The Dream Wrap will save his life. Otzi does blink away, but the transfusion is going to keep him alive. Again, Global getting caught out. There's the finale from King of Mass. Global's getting very, very low. A nice progress gate from Tulsa will pick up that kill, allowing him to get in position for that one last auto attack, and it's looking really, really good for BOB. They have the range carry. They have Tulsa 2-0-3 with 92 CS, and Otzi right that assist train 0-0-4.
And try to get these deep boards and try to pick off as many targets as possible so they can set up for this next Parasite that's going to be up in about 4 seconds.
So playing the Vision game, they're just, like you said, they're just trying to put down aggressive wards. The Parasite is very, very soon. They don't want to lose it, and they don't want to have a chance of losing it. And the way you counteract that is just by allowing yourself to see exactly when and where the team is coming in. Because they can come and try to contest. DI, I don't know if I would recommend it at this point. You're down a few kills, and the people that you don't want kills to be on have absolutely all of the kills. You got Tulsa, like I said, 2-0-3, with the Pain, with the Ambition built now, already level 10. He has both spells. He has Blink. He has Dispel. Both of them are off cooldown. His ultimate is off cooldown. This Parasite fight that's going to happen in the next minute or so is going to be really, really good for BOB. And DI, if they can take it, if they can take a steal, if they can make a good fight happen, which they absolutely can. We've seen them very, very capable of doing so if they get a nice pickoff. It would be huge for them, but I don't know. Bob's looking like they're doing very well this game.
Yeah, this power spike for Bob is really big because they have that duress now on Dibs, which gives a lot of pick potential for that Moloch, and they can play it off with the Desecrator Snare and the Fear Eggs from Comp and the Captivate. So if anybody gets caught by that duress, they're basically instigated right away. And also, Pulse also picked up a second tier 3 as Pain, so that's just even more damage. Like, this is a huge power spike for Bob, and I don't feel like we do much against this.
Dragon with a nice injection. We're gonna, but a huge iceberg lands on the 3 members of Bob. This is looking like a really good fight. And there's the uprising, getting the reset onto Volley. But he does change his target to Variant at the last second. This is gonna be a huge fight for DI. Resets are happening. The Otter Ronin is going ham onto Desecrator, and he finishes it off. And that was a 5-for-1 exchange in the favor of DI. And guess what? Parasites up on top of that.
That's exactly what I meant when I said DI's fight is explosive. If anybody gets picked off, if one person dies, they just spiral out of control and kill everybody. There's nothing to stop them. It's a big mistake from Bob to try to group up and siege a tower against that team. I would have rather them try to play the space game, play it safe, go for the parasite, and just burn it down with the bullet and all the damage they have from the tier 3 items they got, because they would be able to take down this para so quickly. If anybody tries to come in to stop them, they've got Fear Eggs, they've got Captivate, they got Dibs to duress whoever comes in, they could easily turn and kill. But by putting themselves into a disadvantageous area like that, splitting up, it allowed for DI to just do exactly what they wanted.
That was an absolutely huge fight for DI. They take a 5-for-1 trade, including the Parasite. That is going to be a really, really nice power boost for them. And that fight was all started actually by a blink from 50, trying to catch someone as King of Mass. He did get the Flourish Captivate onto Ronin, but Ronin with a really nicely timed injection got him out. Just after that, he did burn his Dispel as well to clear some CC. He has Blitz now, so I think the next fight could be really, really amazing. And like you said, we need to look for DI's picks, because that's where they're going to start shining. I mean, they have the Kindra resets, they have the Baska resets. They both got a few resets that last fight, and that's exactly what won them the fight. Down by, you see Global getting very, very low to the 3-on-2 kind of scuffle that's going on near that tier 2 binding. Jungle is being pinged out here. There are some wars coming out for Bob. They do see that this blue buff is being taken right now, but it's going to go to Dragon. It looks like it's going to be uncontested. They're going to be content to just going ahead and maybe killing a Sakura. The Chaos Shell just barely misses. The stasis will not be enough. She does get an avalanche off for her troubles, but is not going to save Kindra. Kindra goes down very, very quickly. And this is going to be a well for Bob.
Burning that avalanche is also a big mistake, because that is one of the main engage tools that DI has. Not having that puts it all on Basco to get a good ult off until that ability comes off of cooldown.
You know, I'm really curious actually to this itemization of Otzi. We see a lot of Desecrators going for at least a Might, maybe into a Decay, but he is rushing, it looks like a Force into Pain right now. Can you tell me a little bit about what he's looking for here?
The Force and the Pain, he's gonna probably go into Divinity because it amplifies.
I mean, Destruction, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, the Force is probably for Divinity to just amplify all the damage on his Q and E. OC likes to go really, really mastery heavy on his mage builds because he feels like it's one of the most effective mage builds in the game.
Alright, Otzi showing us the power of that Mage Desecrator with a slightly off-kilter build, I would say, personally. Like I said, I see a lot of decays, but the Destruction into the Divinity, we will see how strong it is. Dragon maybe getting caught out. The Duress does land on him. The Nightmare proc will not happen. Tulse not quite able to get an auto attack off there. But it looks like this is going to be a fight that DI wants to have. Desecrator a little bit split off, but he could come for a good flank here. Dragon is in the front lines, does burn his Blitz. His Reckoning is popped right now. Otzi may get the resets put on him. He is completely out of position, but a nice blink over the wall will actually put him back to safety. And this fight is all but been completely reset by Bob, but Kindra may go a little bit too deep. The shield for Windows of Praise almost keeps her alive. Bullet goes down. The reset for Uprising gets him to a secondary target, but this is right now looking pretty good for Bob. A nice progress gate gets Tulse a triple kill, and he's looking for maybe these last few, but it looks like they're going to be safe underneath their own binding unless Tulse gets a little bit too aggressive here. Is he going to go for it?
Bob just really want to group up against that team. You just saw what happened when they grouped up, and DI just wanted to go completely manbo. I think Red's is going to follow it too.
Well,
so they
just official Tetra kill.
Open 1v5, got the 50% damage reduction, and just tried to go as crazy as possible and let people get reset. What OT did was he's a huge Kindra player. He knows that Kindra's going to dive in a situation like that. He immediately reacted with his QE. They bursted Kindra, and they kited backwards and let Tulse just hit the targets as they got lower and lower. And then as soon as they tried to back out, they re-engaged and cleaned up.
That was a fantastic fight. For a while that fight, Otzi was 100% out of position. He was against his he was against that tier 1 binding that was obviously down. He was against the wall, separated from his team. He was getting stacked up by Sakari Qs, but he had a really nice long-range blink over that wall to put him back to safety, regroup with his team. And the Kindra, I feel like she just kind of went out for blood, and she almost survived. She almost got the resets. The Renzo's Embrace almost saved her. There was almost so many things, but, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, so nothing comes for it. Kindra goes down. Destructive Influence, gives up an unofficial Tetra kill to the hands of Tulse, who now has a Resonance on top of his Pain and Ambition. 134 CS, 6-1-5. Tulse doing his best to carry it, but Dragon not too far behind him, 5-1-4 with 128 CS, not wanting to be outdone here, but as far as itemization is concerned, just a little bit more behind. He has the Force. He doesn't have that tier 3 legendary. He could be looking for something of a dominance here. I know, Mastery goes a long way for Ronin because his Qs are able to crit. McScrag coming in for a potential engage here. The Icebergs are separating him off from his team just quite a little bit, but not completely sealing off that kind of path, and he's able to walk away from that one.
Off his reckoning too in that fight, and that's a huge ability for him. Without that, it takes away a lot of fight from DI.
Yeah, not only the ricochet damage, but just the flat damage boost that he gets for popping his Reckoning is going to be not available in this team fight that's about to happen here. McStrag does pop his Damnation. Arthas a little bit too deep. Tulse may get blown up by Kindra, but a nice progress gate will get him out of the way. But no, she does get one reset. The Stasis, she's waiting for cooldowns to come back up. Otzi goes down. A double kill for Dragon. He's trying to do as much as he can in this fight. This is without Reckoning right here. He does almost take down 50 Shades of Alpha, but he does get Flourish captivated. And he's going to be stopped in his little otter tracks, and this is going to be a 3-for-2 in the favor of DI.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's so hard for Bob to group up against this team. And the way they did Para, they were all grouped up as 5. Reason they do that is because they want to try to catch DI as they come in through the choke points, the tiny lanes around Paris.
Oh, there's the duress coming onto Sakari, but not quite able to follow up on it. I believe that is a double duress. And the thing about duress, this last patch, this 36.1, it does have a slight diminishing returns on it now, so it's 50% less effective for each additional duress you get hit with in a small window. So I think that was really actually showing the strength, because that was a duress proc, a netherbind proc from 2 different people, but the 50% reduced efficiency of it allowed Sakari to get on out of there. I believe last patch that may have honestly resulted in a kill.
Yeah, I was gonna comment on it before the fight. Bob opted for 2 duresses probably because they have a really good hit with Volek. They want to make it so that Volek can stick to a target and burst them down. So even though Duress did get nerfed, I don't think Duress is weak. A lot of people, when they saw the Duress first, they're like, oh, lol, GG, Duress, rip Duress, Duress is dead. But when you think about it, all they did was remove the annoying, what I considered the OP part of Duress, not what made Duress strong. It's still chain Duress. Duress is still great for pick comp, still an amazing buy. It does what it did before, just it's not completely absurd. So I think it's still a great pickup for a lot of compositions.
I definitely agree with you. I think it's in a good place right now. It's definitely not what it once was. Bob pressuring this Parasite once again. DI is a little bit split up. Sakari is probably the furthest one away. They're going to try to collapse onto this Parasite. Otzi is going to stay north of it just to try to zone out as much as he can. DI tries to come in through this southern entrance, but it looks like there's going to be a quick Parasite pickup for the Mortal team. There's the On the House coming back, giving some vision and damage onto the team of Bob, but it looks like they're just going to walk away, and just 2 ships passing in the night there. Nothing comes of it. DI is going to use this opportunity to go back, get a few purchases on. The Kinetic Sculptor comes out, connecting with McScrag, but nothing coming of it whatsoever. 14-14 kills, completely even in this game. 54-12, Bob heavily in the advantage as far as Spirit War workers are concerned, and they also have that Parasite buff right now. McScrag potentially looking for a gank, a flank here on this binding dive, but he does get deterred with the Sakari and her Duress. Prosperity Duress is what she has built there. You do have a Devotion coming out on the side of Renzo, so he's giving his team a little bit of armor and magic resist. And this binding is looking really, really tasty for BOB. But, if the past fight was any indication, DI is still 100% in this game, and they can't be counted out.
So much damage coming out from BOB right now. I'm really surprised that DI did not try to fight at the Parasite. I feel like Bob noticed that DI was a little scattered and that they would be able to burn the Parasite before DI could react, because as you saw before, DI is just really good in these 5-on-5 clump team fights, and Bob really wants to refrain from doing that.
Yeah, the one thing that I think DI is showing that they're lacking here is good wave clear. In all honesty, they can't really stop these sieges. They don't have a wave clear shaper. They don't have people like, honestly, almost the entire team of Bob. They don't have Barry. They don't have Dibs. But Tulsa making caught out there. He does burn his Dispel. The Uprising will land on the King of Mass. Not quite the target he wanted to. DeWickies is in the middle of this fight, but he goes down super quickly. The Pain doing enough work to keep him down. Deathfall comes out, just zoning out the rest of DI, and that is a quick 1-for-0 trade in the favor of BOB 50, taking a few extra binding shots, just saying, hey, how you doing? Oatsy going to take a few of his own. Bob just not wanting to wait for the creep wave, but wanting to take the advantage, the 30-second advantage, the power play they have to take down that binding, so they just trade tank it just a little bit and do take down that tier 3 binding in the top lane.
Yeah, another thing that is with DI's comp, they're extremely ult reliant. They do not have their ultimates. It's very hard for them to get what they want. While if Bob doesn't have their ultimate, their team is still pretty strong. They can burst down one target at a time. They have Desi for the disengage. So I feel like DI is a lot more ult reliant, and that's why they were able to fight really easily there. Like staggering your ults out, like Ronin popping his Reckoning and not autoing attacking everybody while Kindra's trying to soak up as much damage as possible with her damage reduction from her ultimate is a big mistake from DI, and it ultimately led to them just having a flat-out loss in that fight.
DI still nowhere near out of this game, I would say. They still have a 7-1-5 Ronin that Bob has to deal with 176 CS. Tulsa's 8-2-6, 188. But, you know, the utility coming out from Bob, they have so many assists right now. 10 on Volek, 12 on Dibs, 10 on King of Mass, and 10 on Oatsy. What's that word? Bob really has just the team fight, I think. And the thing that DI, I think, is lacking, and I think that is losing them more fights than winning them, is Kindra going in just a little bit too deep. You know, she has the damage reduction she gets for the amount of targets that she hits with her Nox Eterna, which is her ultimate.
Voices
but
in the wells?
when you go in that deep without the team follow-up, plus you're getting hit by the pain of Tulse, you're not gonna be healing. You're not gonna be really dealing the damage you need to, especially with a build like rushing and adamants, having a balance and the preservation. She's not dealing as much damage, I think, as maybe she wants to be dealing here. Arthurius is caught out under his own binding. He does do the uprising just as he goes down. DeWicki's going in for Tulse again. Super ham. He does stasis, but that's not going to be enough. DI is going to have to pull out of this one very, very quickly. Oatsy taking a lot of damage from Sicaria, but she goes down just after she fires off her E, and that is going to be a 3-for-1 exchange. Make that 4-for-1, make that 5-for-1, a complete annihilation in the blink of an eye from BOB to go ahead and take down this tier 3 binding. The Guardian is gonna say, hey, I'm still here, I'm the 6th man, but not quite able to defend his own cores. This is a 20-second death timer until Kindra's up, 15 on Basco. They'll be able to take down, I would say, 1, maybe 2 cores, and if they're playing this really intelligently and taking down the furthermost cores first, because they're the easiest to defend for the defending team. So if you have an empirical advantage like this, like, oh, hey, everyone's dead, always go for those back cores first. That's kind of a Guardian killing lesson 101.
That's how a Spirit Core
Competitive plays also plays a lot into that Reaper beam, giant laser beam of death, and that's the backmost, the upmost, what is it, the left side upper core? So
yeah.
That one is the one that's almost always taken priority in more competitive high MMR Dongate.
BOB is going to use the opportunity to go back. You see 5 completed legendary items on Tulse: Justice, Dominance, Resonance, Pain, and Ambition. Oatsy finishing off his Valor, Divinity, and now picking up a balance for himself. The double Duress from Dibs and King of Mask. Volek's build, he's going to have that Ambition, Decay, Oppression, Balance. A lot of magic damage and a lot of ways to shred magic resistance right now on the team of BOB. I have to say, I think this itemization, this plan was pretty calculated by them.
Yeah, I was gonna say that before Kendra could go in, it was really effective, but as soon as Bob started grabbing wills and balances across their entire team, as soon as they all started grabbing balances, the Kendra damage really did not do as much as it did before, and it's a lot easier to deal with. I find Kendra's itemization a little weird. She's taking a lot of damage from both on variants, so she felt the need to build a Adamance and a Preservation. So she has no big... They're both good hybrid defensive offensive items, but that Kendra won't be able to bring the big burst that like a Destruction, Divinity, Kendra would bring to a team.
Yeah, I really like the itemization, like you said. between balance and its kind of legendary tier items, it has the stackable passive Will Thief. So getting multiple instances of it, you see Oppression and a balance from Xcrag. You see Valor and a balance from Otzi. That Will Thief passive where you're stealing magic resist from them and adding it to yourself is super strong. And when you have 2 to 3 Will Thieves, it's going to look really good for you, and especially with the kind of small amount of damage that Kindra is honestly trying to put out here. Tulst isn't it caught out here. The Unbreakable does come out slowing and shielding Arceus. Otzi goes down very, very quickly, but Tulst is trying to kite this fight backwards. He has a nice blink over the core, is going to protect him, put a little bit of distance himself between him and Kindra. And Sakari is immediately the last one left. She does blink and dispel to get back to her own Locust, but the GG well plays coming out from DI. The surrender vote is 2, is 3. Will they make it 4, or will they let the Guardian fall naturally? It looks like they are going to. And that is GG well played. B.O.B. taking it over, I would say, pretty much the dark horse Destructive Influence, who came like a bat out of hell out of the group stages, taking down an amazing team such as